Hello, friends. Welcome to Yoga for Tango Dancers. I am Yelizaveta, and I am so glad you're joining me today. If you are new to my channel, I invite you to subscribe and click that like button if you enjoy the video today. I have a very special sequence for you today. For those of us who are starting to do more dancing and you are spending more and more hours on the dance floor, that is also applying to me. I would like to introduce to you a few poses that will be a great way to unwind the body from a lot of the dancing. So you might decide to do this sequence right after you're done with the milonga at 2 o'clock in the morning. Or you might do this kind of work when you come back from a festival and you're looking to get your body relaxed again and get a little bit more softness into the tissues, because tango does create a lot of tension because we do it for so long. So I have some props with me today. I have 2 blocks and a pillow, and you might not necessarily use the blocks. You might use a chair. I'm going to show you, but I would recommend that you have a pillow or 2 available for our last pose. So the first thing we're going to do is a modified squat position. This feels really, really good, and I actually do this pose frequently in between tandas. So sometimes once an hour, once every other hour, I'll go outside or I'll take a break, and I will do this pose in particular to relieve some of the lower back tension that develops from dancing. So today, I'm going to show this with 2 blocks that are stacked, and once you kind of get a sense of the pose, you might decide whether you need to go higher or lower. So very simple. What we start with is a stance that's a little bit wider than the hips, and the toes can be slightly out. That doesn't matter. Or the feet can be parallel. But all I'm going to do is I'm going to sit my butt onto the blocks in this fashion. So it's a supported squat, and then I'm just going to lean. So this is one way of doing this pose. Sometimes I'll do this on a sidewalk, so just a little ledge. And from here, I just kind of drape my body over my thighs, and I look for a sense of release along my lower back. So this is a very nice place to be. And breathe into that lower back area. Now let's hold this, and while you're holding it, I'm going to show you a couple of other ways that you can do this pose. So if this is too low, let's say, you can change to a chair. So I'm going to show you with the chair what this looks like. So if you want to do this in a chair, all you would do is sit in the chair, come to your elbows, and once again, think about pulling the spine away from your elbows, maybe releasing onto your thighs. So this might be more appropriate for some of you who are a little bit less mobile. So that's a chair variation. And then for those of you who want to go a little bit deeper, let's say this is a little bit too high, you can do this without the blocks and sit all the way down into a squat. In this case, my elbows are on the inside, and I can just bring my hands together so that the elbows kind of snuggle up against the inner thighs. So let me show from this side. So it looks like this. Once you're in this position, what's nice is to imagine that your tailbone has a little tiny weight that's hanging on it, and it's pulling down on the tail, creating a little bit more space in your lumbar spine, your lower back here. So whichever variation you're doing, we'll do another 3 and 2 and 1. Good. And release. We'll press up, gently coming up. Make sure you're not firing too much in the lower back, since we just stretch those muscles out. And then from there, let's move the blocks to the side, and we're going to go to the floor. The next pose that I really love doing is a reclined twist. So you start out with lying on the floor and the knees are bent. The arms will come out to the side and you're going to go ahead and stretch your right leg in front. Bring your right hand to the outside of your left knee, then gently guide it to go over to the side. And so here I'm going ahead and letting my body turn. The bottom leg softens. You see how it's kind of softening here, so it doesn't have to stay straight. And then to complete the full spiral of the twist, you can look to your left arm. And breathing here. We're going to be here for just a little while. I invite you to really settle and relax and soften into the pose rather than pushing or trying or extending further and further. Instead, invite a feeling of melting and softening. So let's be here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let yourself come back to center, gently unwinding. Bend the knees, realign. Then go ahead and straighten your left leg. Left hand comes on the outside of your right knee, and then you turn over to the left. So once you find the degree of the twist, you can adjust everything else to make it more comfortable, see where that arm wants to be, and then see if you like to turn your head towards the hand or not. One side is always going to be more responsive, more open than the other. So for me, turning to the left when I'm reclining is actually easier. Wherever you are, again, let yourself settle. After a lot of dancing, sometimes I do these poses and I just think about standing water, where you had a lot of turbulence and then the water comes down and you just have all this sediment just slowly drift to the bottom. So we're looking for that quality of settling and relaxing of the body. Let's do another 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Gently come back to center. Take a moment here to feel just what your body is saying in response to these couple of poses. Then hug the knees into the chest, rocking it a little bit side to side. Maybe coming into what's called a happy baby pose, or unhappy adult pose, as I like to call it. And hands go on the outside of the feet or behind the knees, whichever is more available to you. And you just rock side to side very gently. And then we'll go to the side and press yourself up, and we'll set up for our final pose, which will be a very much of a restorative pose, and you might decide to stay in it longer than this tutorial, which will be totally fine. So we'll use a pillow for this, or a couple of pillows. So let me show you. I'm going to place the pillow right up against the wall here, and I will come and sit on my knees, facing away from the wall, right? So the pillow is right next to me here. And then I'm just going to guide my side hip to come to the pillow, and my butt is actually touching the wall. And then I lie down and bring my legs up. Once the legs are up, you might modify it. You can press up a little bit and adjust the pillow, and then the legs can rest against the wall. The arms can relax out to the side. And this pose is wonderful to do, especially for those of you who wear heels when you dance. A lot of times there's some swelling that can happen in the feet or around the ankles, or if you travel by plane, that's a common experience for me to have swollen ankles by the end of a plane ride. So this pose held for maybe 3 to 5 minutes, I think, is a really wonderful thing to do for your body. Bonus, if you have something like a sandbag or a bag of rice, sometimes there's those 10-pound bags of rice, you can put that on your feet, and that feels really great. So wherever you are in your body, just make sure that you're super comfortable. The legs don't have to be all the way straight. They can be slightly bent. And if your feet start falling asleep really quickly, just make sure you don't stay more than a minute in that position once the feet kind of start tingling and falling asleep. So what I might do sometimes is kind of bend my knees and stay here for a few moments and let the circulation kind of get back into my feet, and then I'll re-extend for another little while. So wherever you are, let's go ahead and take 5 deep breaths here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, if you're just starting to relax and this is really feeling nice and juicy for you and you want to stay here, please do. You can stay here for as long as it feels good. Otherwise, we're going to bend the knees. To come out of the pose, turn to your right, come onto your right side, and take a few moments here to regain your composure and your presence in your body. And then let's go ahead and press up. And you can come and sit either with your shins crossed or sitting on your shins. And just feel this place in your body. Notice how you feel. And thank you for joining me for this practice today. Let me know how it goes for you. Try it out. And I'm curious if you have any of your own poses that you like doing, or any kind of movement that you like doing after you dance a lot. Perhaps you have some of your own personal tricks up your sleeve. So do share those with me in the comments below. If you are interested in doing more work with me, I teach a class on Tuesdays from 12 to 1 p.m. Pacific time called Solo Tango Essentials, which is a class that blends together a lot of these yoga principles and applies them to tango movements and tango, very common tango shapes. So it would be great to explore that with you. There's information in the description as well as the link to the class. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I hope I see you soon. Ciao.